Hi, Craiova. It is really good to see you. I am so excited to be able to share in today's conference. I just want to really honor Claudia today for all of her work in putting this together. And I hope each of you leave taking away one or two things that you say, do you know, I'm going to put this into practice today to make education in our community better. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Corey, and I actually just moved from Craiova. Me and my family, we've been living there, making it our home for the last 7 years, along with our two daughters. And we've just moved back to a city called Red Deer in Canada. We're in the western part, and it's been a tough adjustment. We have a lot of snow here, a lot of cold weather, but it's been awesome to be back with our family, to see some old friends, and just to reconnect. Why am I here today? I've been working in different forms of education for the last 20 years almost. I've worked in all kinds of informal education, working with adults and teens through agencies that work with homeless people and drug addicts, prostitutes, as well as with the Red Cross in disaster management. But for the last 7 years, we've really been able to get to know the education system within Romania, and Craiova more specifically. We've been doing a program there called Heroes within the De Regency Hour, and it's been a really exciting opportunity for us and our amazing group of volunteers to just be sharing, I think, some new messages that we kind of want to share with you today. I know that there's probably lots of questions, and I just want to give a little bit of a introduction to kind of what life is like here for some of you before I get talking more about the program. And one of the first things that I just want to say is that Canada is not the United States. And I'm not saying that to say that they're not good, but I know that we've all learned a lot, read a lot, hear a lot, and we're their neighbor. And so there can often be a really easy assumption to make that we're just the same. But if I were to ask you, are you in Hungary the same? Are you in Bulgaria the same? I know the reaction I would get. And you know, we're kind of similar. And we have our own set of values. And they're different. And as I've been here for the past 3 months, I'm really seeing just how different those are. And so if you think you know what our education system's like based on what you've read about America, just try to hear what I'm going to say with fresh ears and a fresh perspective. The second thing is that I come from a country that doesn't do it all right. I love Canada, and it's been great to be here. But when it comes to education, community, society as a whole, we don't do everything right. We have a lot of friends who like to complain about the government, who complain about the healthcare system. And our education too, it actually has roots that are really not something that we're proud of when it comes to our native residential schools. And we're in a season right now within Canada of really trying to make, to repair those damaged relationships of how our education system came in here and took all of the native Canadians, the Indians, and put them in schools and tried to take away their cultures. And I'm going to talk a bit about that. Even in the public schools right now, we got our girls in the public school system here, and it's great. But do you know what? Bullying's an issue. We got parents being called because kids are bad. Our kids still come home some days and there's someone mistreated. And so it's not that I'm here trying to push some perfect system, but I feel that my experience here, even in these first 3 months, there's some good things that I hope that you're able to hear and just think, What would that look like if we were to bring something like that into our education system here in Craiova? I know that our systems aren't exactly the same, and so I think that that's one of the most important things that you need to know. You can't just see something somewhere and import that. There's all kinds of roots. It's like that iceberg. You see the program that's above the water, but there's all kinds of values and history and work that's been done to make it ready. And I'll give an example of that in a little bit. But I just want to share my observations on the first 3 months of being in the education system here in Canada. And I should even go further than that. This is the education system in our city. Our government is set up different than yours, that our federal government doesn't have very much to do with the school system. And so there's a provincial government that oversees it, and then there's the city government that does it. And do you know what? We don't have parties that are connected that way. And so they're all independent of each other, and there's no mixing up. So there's a good idea right there. But I want to just give you an example of the first thing that really struck me. And this was on the first day of school, and it's continued for these 3 months. Every day when we drop off our kids and we pick them up from school, all of the school directors, there's 3 of them, they're outside welcoming the kids, sending them home. They're manning the crosswalk to stop traffic so that kids can walk. In the morning, you see kids running up to them, wanting to tell them about their activity the night before. They know their names. There's nice hugs and high fives happening. One of the school directors, he carries a football a lot of the time, and he just is throwing it to the kids, and they're having such a good time. And I really see those leaders, those head people of the school operating in this servant-hearted posture towards the students and towards the teachers. They really see their job as making sure everybody else there has a good experience with what they're doing. There's 3 other things that I just want to touch on that I've really loved. The teachers told us that kind of their first focus on the school year is on building community. They want this class to come together to become a really good group of people. And so we've been part of 3 things within the school and within the whole city that are just doing that to make us, our community, strong. The first one is this DAW Run. They rounded up every kid in grade 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and they brought them to a park like Romanescu, and they participated in a memorial run. They ran 3 kilometers. There were prizes for the first 10 finishers, but it was to honor a student who lost the ability to run. And they do this every year, bringing all of the students together, and it's to have fun. It's to remember somebody that loved to run and lost that ability. The second thing is what they call Orange Shirt Day. And so every student, every teacher, everybody who works in a school on one day wears an orange shirt. Why do they do that? I talked about the residential schools before with the native Indians. And one of the things that they did is they took away their colors. The Indians like to wear bright colors, and they said that's not the right way to be. And so they made them wear this one color of uniform. They weren't allowed to talk their language. They weren't allowed to celebrate their traditional ways. They took all that away. And so this is one of the ways that we're working towards reconciliation and saying, do you know what? We didn't do it right, and we're going to try to make it better for the future. And so all of the kids, and our girls were so excited to learn about this other culture, to participate with everybody wearing these orange shirts. And the third one, which we've just really loved, has been a citywide book reading activity. And so we have a local author in our city. His name is Sigmund Bauer, and he wrote a chapter book about our local hockey team. And he's written many other kids' books, and he's gone to every school to do a presentation on the book, what it means to become an author, the kind of things that you have to do. And it's been this absolutely dynamic presentation from this really fun author. And he's just a great guy. And they sent a book home to every student. And what we do is we read this as a family. And every kid in our city is reading this storybook. And so we're just really excited about some of those things that they've been doing to build community in what we're doing. And, you know, when I get talking about life in Canada and our systems and stuff here, I'm just going to be honest. And the quickest response I always get, oh, it's because you guys have so much money. Do you know what? I just want to say that that's a lie. Do you know what? We do have more than other places. We have less than others. But our foundation of our success is not because we have money. Our goal is not to have money. Our success isn't because we have money. It starts with what our goal is. You hear the difference in that? It starts with what our goal is that we have success. You know, teachers here love their job. They absolutely love it. They love the opportunity that they get to help raise the next generation. They're excited to develop them in all aspects of their life as raising these future citizens that are going to be contributors to our society. And it shows. We've toured many different schools here, and we've got to meet many different teachers, not just our own. And all the teachers just have this real sense of pride in what they're doing. They love interacting with their students. They know them all by name. They know the parents. They know their histories, and they want to see them succeed. And here's the goal that they have. The teacher's goal here in the school system is to help students develop a love of learning. It's not to get them to know a whole bunch of stuff. It's to embed in them this desire to want to learn. Here's how they do that. This is an example. With reading, we've been really into books our whole life. And so it's something that we love. We do a lot of reading in our home. But when we had to talk with the teachers about our kids, they've been in school learning Romanian. They read Romanian perfectly, but English is a little bit of a trickier thing. And so we kind of went in and said, well, how are we going to catch them up? They're down here and their colleagues are up here. So what kind of extra work do we got to do? And the teacher just went to me and my wife, Erin, and said, you guys stop. That's my job, and what I'm going to do, I have these ways, and we're going to make Rachel love books. She's going to fall in love with books. And when she starts to fall in love with those stories that we're going to read, she's going to start to get better, but it's going to start with us finding the right books for her. They're going to be interesting. And so we just have kind of been put in our place that says, Corey and Erin, you guys can't just be trying to raise a perfect reader. What you got to do is raise a kid who loves books, and the reading will come. And so that goal has been changed. It's not trying to make them reach a level. It's trying to instill this passion and that belief that if they get that passion, They're just going to take care of that themselves. When the goal is desirable, buy-in happens. It's just a reality. When the goal is something that you want to achieve, you naturally start to do what needs to be done to reach it. And I'm going to share. This is based on my experience talking with parents, working in the school in Romania, that one of the biggest challenges that you have is what the goal is. So even if you can change your curriculum to reach this goal that you have of getting a 10 in Romanian and a 10 in math in the grade 8 exam, what have you really achieved? If the goal that you've set is just to have kids score high in Romanian and high in math, even if you reach it, what? Is there a love for learning? Is there a love for education? Are those the values that you most value in people? I don't think it is. But it's what the system has said is our top value. And so, from my experience, we've seen that trickle down, that there is tremendous pressure on students from a very young age to get it perfect. They need to get it right. We look at all of the classes and compare the schedules. Our kids have 9 blocks throughout their day, and they're doing things like art every day and math and music and acting. And those are no less valuable than science and math and reading. I talked about money in our system, and I want to share with you what I think is probably one of the key things, and this is kind of starting to move us into what I wanted to share about. But do you know where the extra money is spent in our education system? It's spent on helping the lower students catch up to those ahead. One of the schools that we were talking with, they had some extra money and a large group of students, and they said, do we want to get another teacher to make the classes smaller, or hire 2 teachers' assistants that will get to work with those who are a little bit behind and need to be caught up? It was unanimous. They wanted to hire those 2 assistants to make sure that everybody in that school is given every opportunity they have to succeed along with their colleagues. You know, they say that the top students, we like to take credit for them, but as I look around the world, the thing that I see is that those who are high achievers are going to achieve no matter where they live. They're not so much a product of the system as they are just really special people that need to be celebrated. And so what we've done here in our city is we've really worked hard to make sure that all of the students are trending and growing and given every opportunity to leave. You don't have to try to get into a good school because every school is a good school. You're not worried about your teacher because every teacher is a good teacher. You're not worried about the attention that your student's going to get because we don't want to see any of them fall behind. We have a saying, it's used a lot in our politics as well as just in education. It's fall through the cracks. We want to make sure that nobody falls through the cracks. Here's what's important. This is a phrase that we use, and so what's important to know that is that phrase only works if there's a solid foundation for your programs to run on. And so if you just have these little pieces that are all spread out, you have all kinds of people, and more what you're trying to do is make sure that you are on one of those solid pieces. Ours is flipped over a little bit, that we have this solid foundation. And so we're trying to make sure and change things, add things to make sure nobody falls through the cracks. Who's the biggest contributor to this? Do you know what? I've been amazed. Our government probably gives similar per capita to what Romania gives to education, part of our budget. But every school that I've gone into, community centers, I see the business community. There are plaques. It's not advertising. It's the business community making investments in those places because they have that same value in them. We don't want to see people fall through the cracks. We want to make sure that every school, and so you don't go to one school and it has everything fancy. They're looking for ones that need that hand to make sure that nobody's falling through the cracks and everybody has a chance to succeed. And so I've just been really honored to kind of connect myself with that and this school. And we kind of see them working with new immigrant kids the same as those kids who are doing well, and they just all get a chance to succeed. Well, let's move on. What do we do? Where do we start if we're going to make this sort of foundation that says we don't want anybody to fall through the cracks? I call this the $20 solution, and I know that you guys are all going to be curious. And so I'm going to show you two things. How about this? I'm going to show you a Canadian $20 bill because I'm sure you're curious. And what was really weird is when we moved to Romania 7 years ago, we only had paper money. And then we came back and now it's plastic. And so this has kind of been strange for us. So this is my $20 solution. This is disgusting. I'm sorry that I'm doing this for you guys, but this is a garbage can. From our house here, we got food. Oh man. This is pumpkin top. We were carving jack-o'-lanterns. I tell you what, trick-or-treating, that's something that would be awesome to do in Craiova. Oh, this is gross. Ugh. I don't know if you guys can see this or want to, but this is a used empty yogurt container, and oh, there's coffee in there, a Q-tip. Oh, this is a used Kleenex. This is gross. Oh, look at this. It's a wrinkly, dirty $20 bill. Oh, it's got some other little notes on here. What does it say? Oh, boy. So this $20 bill doesn't have any parents. Doesn't attend school. Ugh. It's from a bad neighborhood. This is disgusting. I don't really know why that's in our garbage or why we have it. Look, there's a Q-tip that was even on there. This is gross. Oh, hey, look at this. What a pretty box that we have here. This is fancy. Whoa! Look at that. There it is. What a cool little crisp. Boy, this looks like it's brand new. I don't think this has ever been spent before. Oh, this one. Hey, we were just talking about that. Nota 10. Bravo. Oh, this one goes to a good school and their parents are important. Look at these two. Which one has more value? If you were to go into a store to buy something, which one could you buy more with? This one? This one? You know what? It doesn't matter where one comes from, how nasty it is. It doesn't matter how fancy this one comes from or those other little labels that it has on it, these have the exact same value. And this is how we need to start looking at our community, at our kids, that it's not just looking at how crispy and how fancy it is on the outside. We need to start considering just what is the inner value that each have. I was talking with somebody who just got back from a refugee camp outside Ethiopia. He described it as the richest place he had ever been. Why? Because it was full of potential, full of the potential of people ready, willing, wanting to succeed in life, but stuck. Can we start seeing that, do you know what? This $20 bill is as valuable as this one. The kids in our community are just as valuable. It doesn't matter what school they go to. And I'm going to tell you, I think that there's some of you in this audience that need to know, just because you're fancy doesn't make you more valuable than the others. So what's the principle in this for what we got to do? Let me show you. See that? Do you know what? Your goal, no matter what part of the system you're in, and we need people in Craiova and in Romania working in schools, working in government, working in the university to teach teachers, but you got to be there for the right reasons. If you're there to make sure your kid makes it, your community will not have an opportunity to succeed. Why? Because everybody's fighting for themselves. If you want your community to make it, you got to work hard so that your neighbor's kid, the kid that lives 10 houses down, gets the best opportunity for him. Because when you're working towards that, your kid will get caught up in that. But if your focus is on you, do you know what I would suggest? If your only goal is to see your kid get the best and you're not worried about the others, I'd suggest you move to another country. Come to Canada, United States, because you'll have every opportunity to do that. If getting lots of money you think will be the solution, then I just think that you need to go and do that, because otherwise you're pulling the movement in a different direction. So this is what we talk about in our program at 360. It's called Heroes, and we got Theodora and Irene are there, and they're going to want to talk to you about it. But we talk lots about the value that each of us have, and that it's not dependent on the labels that we have, where we've come from. And how do we do that? We use this little bottle of water. This is something that is just represents each of us. Water's amazing. It is the source of life. It's what gives each of us the ability to live. We need this, and we're full of it. And so we're full of awesome. And so this is what we focus on. And so we have something called a asset-based program, which means we believe that there's good things. We just need to focus on it. But this is the problem. All of us are full of something that's awesome. We have circumstances in our life. We come from maybe a poor family. Maybe our parents are divorced. Maybe the color of our skin is something that prevents us from being able to succeed. You know, we got things people say to us. We got people that are always telling us that you're not good enough, that you're too stupid, that if you can't get 10, you're a waste of time. And I tell you what, I hear this. I am in the classrooms, and I hear teachers tell the students how stupid they are. And this is a real wall. And you know what? We just have things sometimes that we tell ourselves. We're telling ourselves that we're never going to be good enough. or too crinkly to care, that nobody will give me a chance even if I ask for one. And so we just kind of give up, and we get hidden behind all these walls. But the reality is that those good things are still there. You just can't see them. And if your focus is on trying to take care of all these bad things, you're still hiding the good things. And so what we want to do is just get rid of those walls. Start focusing on who we are, the good things that are in us, the good things that we have to contribute, and start building those things for a better future. We've seen tremendous success in students hearing for the first time that you have value, that your value isn't all of these things or just because of who your parents are, but because of who you are, because of your inner gifts, your abilities. And we work with students to not just learn how to use those to become great, but to use those to make others around them great. That's what Heroes is all about. It's about discovering that you're awesome and how to use that to improve your life and the lives of people around you. It sounds daunting, doesn't it? You know, these are big tasks, and there's a big challenge. I know we've been working, and it's hard. But here's something that's encouraging. Do you know that we don't need to convince everybody? This isn't just a suggestion. This is a fact. It only takes 10% of a community to grasp an idea before that idea takes over the norm of that community. So you don't got to convince everybody in your school, in your community, in your area. You just got to get 10%. And if we can get 10% of them to believe that every kid has value, no matter where they're from, what school they go to, if teachers start believing this, if administrators who are inspectors in school start wanting to not make sure everybody's doing it right, but to what do we need to do to start closing those cracks and making sure nobody falls behind? It's going to catch on, and governments are going to change their policies, and schools are going to change their identities to make it a place where everybody succeeds. And I believe that we can do that. And I believe that Heroes can be a place where that seed gets to be planted. And so I just